For 11 months, Yusuf lost a little more of himself every single day. Not because life was hard, not because people abandoned him, but because he slowly began to believe that nothing he did could change what was happening. Then one day, a stranger spoke 7 words. 7 simple words. And they changed the course of his life forever. This is the story of how a man who had lost almost everything discovered the one thing that could never be taken from him. He did not wake up. He simply stopped sleeping.
There is a difference, and the man who has carried the same sorrow for too many seasons knows it well. Yusuf opened his eyes before the sun had any right to rise, and lay still on the thin mat that had once held 2 bodies, listening to a house that used to be full. The blanket beside him was cold. The small shoes by the door had not moved in months. A child's clay cup sat on the shelf where it had been left the morning they all disappeared. The clay walls held the silence like a jar holds water, still, sealed, heavy. This was not the worst morning. That was the trouble. The worst mornings were the ones that looked almost like the old ones. A beam of early light crossing the floor, a rooster calling somewhere across the field, the smell of bread drifting under the cracked door. It was on those mornings that the distance between what was and what remained felt widest, like standing at the edge of a well and knowing the rope is gone. Yusuf had once been a man of land, not rich land, never rich, but land that answered him. He would press seeds into the soil with his thumb, and the earth kept its promise. 2 seasons of drought changed that. Not all at once, the way lightning changes a tree. Slowly, the way rust.
After a long silence, she said, without raising her eyes, "You left something behind this morning." Yusuf looked at his empty hands. "I know," he said. She nodded once. "Go back and pick it up." He walked home in the falling dark, turning her words over like stones in a river. The stars appeared one by one, the way courage appears, incrementally, each small and alone, until you look up and realize the sky is full of it. He did not sleep that night, but the wakefulness was different this time. Not hollow, the kind that precedes something. Before the rooster, before the light, before any excuse could form, he rose and went to his dead field. The soil was cracked, gray, indifferent. He knelt and pressed his palms flat against it. Then he dug with his fingers until the surface broke and the darker earth beneath.
Underneath the dead season, there was still earth. There is always earth. He dug until his hands bled at the edges. He did not stop. He had become excellent at stopping, and he was finished with that expertise. Dawood came that afternoon. He stood at the edge of the field, read the scene the way children read what adults cannot say aloud, then walked in and knelt and began to dig without being asked. The widow's son and the broken farmer, side by side, with nothing promised and no rain guaranteed. Just 4 hands that had decided today was the day to begin. That is its own kind of prayer, perhaps the oldest kind.
The merchant did not return. The elder's shade remained someone else's. The children did not come back that week or the next. The world did not rearrange itself around one man's decision to rise.
That is the lie the desperate tell themselves, that transformation arrives with applause. It does not. It arrives like morning, quietly, without ceremony, asking only that you still be there when it reaches you. By the time the first green thread pushed through the cracked earth, fragile, almost embarrassed by its own smallness, Yusuf was too tired to feel triumphant. He crouched beside it a long time in the late light. He did not receive it as victory. He received it as continuation. He covered it gently with loose soil, the way you cover a sleeping child, and went inside to watch the last color drain from the sky. Pink to orange to the deep blue that comes just before dark. The color of the world holding its breath between one thing and the next. He did not know what tomorrow would send. No man does. But for the first time in 11 months, that uncertainty felt like an open door. He understood, not as wisdom learned, but as something grown inside him, the way that thread had grown in the soil, out of sight and slowly. That every day arrives whole, with all of it inside, the difficulty and the opening, the grief that does not leave, and the life that insists on continuing. And the only power a man truly holds is what he chooses to do with the hours before they are taken back. That power cannot be stolen by drought. It cannot be withdrawn by those who walked away. It lives in hands still willing to press against the earth. In the morning, a man chooses to face rather than flee. In the quiet, unremarkable decision to begin, not when the rain returns, not when the people who left come back, not when conditions improve. Today, only ever today, that is where the power waits. And no man who has not yet surrendered it has ever truly been without it.